Hey, Tom, can you hear me?
Yes, good afternoon.
I'm not sure if everybody can hear me, but I'm going to press on as if they do because I'm getting some good feedback. It's 5:30, so let's go ahead and get started. John Owens is on his way home. He was leading this, but asked me to step up and cover the starting points of these slides. I want to welcome everybody in the chat session. There's a link for the boys Google form that if you would please fill out so we can make sure everybody gets credit, because I understand that there's some out-of-town guys from Raleigh, Mr. Rick Woot in this area, that is seeking to get credit for some clinics, and I'm happy to forward your names. Okay, get out of the way. All right, tonight is going to be our professionalism and game management. Don't want to beat the dead horse. I'm looking at the list of participants. I think there's everybody I'm familiar with their names. Any brand new first year officials, raise your hand or unmute yourself. I guess not. Moving on. Uniforms. This is what we want to see in the uniforms. Obviously, sometimes they're the 2-inch stripe shirt is authorized, but my understanding is Rick has authorized it in the Raleigh area. We have already authorized it down here in the southeastern area, and all we ask is be dressed alike. So the 1-inch stripe is going to take precedence over the 2-inch stripe. But if everybody wears the 2-inch stripe, that'll be just fine. So you want to basically match your partners. The shirt, short pants with a black belt, so you can hook your stuff up to it. And we just need the booty type socks to cover your ankles. A Fox 40 whistle is preferred because it's the loudest, so people can hear you. 2 flags, a 20-second timer, and a tape measure. Okay.
Her job to find you.
Cold weather. My understanding is everybody has to be in black. A lot of regional supervisors want you in black. Personally, I want you to stay warm and dry. Okay, extreme weather, black coats, black gloves. Football receiver gloves are great because they have the latex rubber gloves under the hands to keep them warm. A headband worn around the neck can be great and a way to block the colds, but I don't think we're not playing in Minnesota or New York, so we should be fine down here. And I'm waiting for questions. No questions, good. Here's the big one, being in shape, endurance. Yep, just got a correction. The triangle area, Rick says if you're wearing a jacket, it has to be a striped jacket. Okay. Everybody's in. Okay. Being in shape. I do know this is a game that people think you don't run much, but you do. In a high school game, you run 3 to 5 miles. College games, sometimes you run 5 to 7 miles. Basically, you need to ask yourself, can you keep up with the players? And if you can't, how can you cheat if you can't? Okay. Here's a good example of one right here.
I'll call you back on a Zoom call.
We got a turnover right there, and we're off to the races. And referee did an excellent job getting down there. Okay. Moving on. I like that slide, John. You don't have to be fast. You anticipate your next move, and you need to jog, run, or sprint. Sometimes you see people walking because they get tired. If you work hard to get in position, you're going to get tired. The whistle should stop your feet. Sound advice. Assistant coaches are a great asset. You can guide the conversation, have them be a buffer to the coach. I always ask the assistant coach to make sure the coach stays off the field and keeps the head coach in check. The first responsibility is to coach to the kids and not talk to you. The sub box coach can help you with the bench and player issues. I usually go find me a get back coach, like in football. You get a get back coach and get the players all into their box. And yeah, you help with getting the coach in his box and off the field. Questions are okay. Comments are not. A big emphasis this year is unsporting comments. If you get an unsporting comment from the coaches, then you have your conduct and you're unsportsmanlike. If they become a problem, you can always take away their right to speak, not to yell at you across the field. We do have a situation at one school where the head coach actually designates who the head coach is going to be. And he's the one that's going to call your timeouts or talk to the referees or whatnot, because he's the one on the books with the schools to be the head coach on paper and administrative wise. Okay, next. Connect with the players and they'll work with you, especially the captains. Establish a working relationship with the captains. Let them know if they may have a good play, let them know they had a good play. And also let them know when they had a bad play or did something that they shouldn't or borderline. They can always help you with calming some of their teammates down. Face-off men should be your best friends. Okay? I can tell you for a fact of the multi-sports that we do, sometimes the players are embarrassed and wish their parents would stop their behavior. Each association is going to address that differently from the regional supervisors. For those of you who work in Fayetteville, I have no problem with you stopping the game, getting the game day administrator and having them take care of business, because my briefing to the athletic directors is I want them to be proactive and head it off before the referee has to stop the game. Okay. Use them as the first line of intervention. Game, field, equipment, personal timing factors, and rules 1 through 3. 1 through 3. Too much wine. Officials education. US Lacrosse has a great website. For those of you who are USA Lacrosse officials, it costs you $55 a year for these new guys, but it's a great resource for webinars and getting interpretations of the rules. So it's highly recommended. And USA Lacrosse is also required to work some of these summer league tournaments or the youth tournaments or these Lax Fest tournaments that they have on the weekends. Okay, here's our rule 1, the game, field, and equipment. Okay, here's your goal, 6 foot by 6 foot. Sometimes there's holes in that net and can't be no bigger than that ball, right? So you have to inspect that net prior to the game. All right. That's the color balls that we are authorized. It has to meet the NOXI standard. Most of the teams around here use the white ball. I've never seen anybody use, I'm sorry, the yellow ball or the white ball. The yellow balls, a lot of times the girls will use. I do both, sorry. Here's the standard field for lacrosse. Here's the rule change this year. They have dropped the table size down. It is no longer 10 yards on both sides of the 50-yard line. Okay, now it's only 5 yards. Okay, I'm getting text. That's a major rule change for the field. No questions. Nobody's raising. Good. We're pressing on. I don't like beating a dead horse. I think the unified field is where we're going to have issues, especially on either the girls or the boys. I have found that a shorter box for the table will help the scorekeepers and the statisticians so they can see the field and keep the players right in front of the table for the penalties. And it's not for the coaches to come in there and coach the players while they're in the box either. Keep them out of the box. And this way, the statisticians and scorekeepers won't have to worry about people getting in their way. Okay, and this way, it also gives the opportunity for our trail official to basically help control that box a little bit better for subs running in and on. So that'll basically help or stop those guys from early entry. Okay, here is our stick and our cross. A stark cross measures 40 to 42 inches. The long cross is anywhere from 52 to 72 inches, and the max you can have on the field for the long crosses is 4. Okay. Everybody's got those nice little cars that we can measure the width of the pocket. It fits real nice. Here we have an activity alert. That's nice. Goalie equipment. Everybody has to wear a cup. And when we ask the coach if everybody's legally equipped, he is confirming that everybody has their cup on. How he does that is totally up to him, but officials will not be checking. Okay. One thing on the mouth guard. I've seen some different funny ones with teeth and whatever, but the mouth guard, as long as it's not clear or all white, that is fine. Sometimes they'll take a white mouth guard and they'll put some permanent marker, making like a tooth on the front. But as long as you can tell it's not their teeth and it's not all one color, clear or white, then it's good to go. Okay, next. Shoulder pads has to cover the shoulders. Okay. There is no tinted visors. I had a question on a text that said, is the medical release for a tinted visor okay? I'm not sure about that. All I know is that we have to be able to see their eyes if we feel that he had his bell rung. So he might have had a tinted visor, but if we can't see his eyes, I'm going to have to get a question from the state ruling on that. My guess is no. Recent changes. Jersey color, the home team will wear white. That's it. White. Number restriction, 0 to 99 only. There is no 00. What is that pet? That must be football, the football leg pants. I haven't seen set like that. That's because I'm old. But anyway, no football equipment is used for their protective equipment. It has to be equipment designed specifically for lacrosse. They can wear medical and religious so long as it's taped down. And all the coach, as we said, that must confirm that everybody is properly and legally equipped. The best part of the day, meeting the coaches. Everybody certifies the players are properly and legally equipped and remain that way throughout the game. And they are also responsible for everybody on their team and their bench. And hopefully everybody acts in a courteous manner. The other coaches, assistant coaches, remember, they always grow up to be head coaches. But if they ask a question, then you can give them an answer. But if they ask a question to the official on the other side of the field, that's probably not a good thing. So, not saying you have to flag them or give them a conduct all the time, but it's always best if you address the situation. Coach, I'll answer your question if you don't yell at me. And that worked one time. In home, it's usually the starting attackman, okay? It's usually the first player in the pregame in the lineup. And if there's if there's a penalty that we can't figure out who the penalty was on, or we forgot because there was too much going on, or we have to put the in-home in, that's usually the person that serves the penalty time. Ball retrievers must wear a helmet, and they must have a contrasting uniform. Usually some schools will have their youth players doing that, but they have to be dressed properly, have to have that safety equipment on, and they should not be behind the goal unless they're going to get the ball. Hopefully, but when the ball goes the other way. Next. Here's our game length: 4 12-minute stop time quarters for high school rules on varsity games. Okay, JV games can vary from location to location, but I've never seen one around here go more than they usually 10-minute quarters. Youth games will vary. There's 2-minute breaks in between the quarters, and there's usually a 10-minute half. Sometimes the coaches agree to have a 7-minute halftime, but that's totally up to them during the pregame. And the referees will ascertain that. But normally for the boys, it's 10. Okay, stopping the clock. Dead ball, just like in other sports, hand straight up, dead ball. Pointed direction. If it's out of bounds, it's a good long blast. Put your hand up in the air for a dead ball, pointed direction of the play, and then hand back in the air, and then start the clock. Flag down situation, you need to kill the play. That's when they're talking about the short blast with the tweet, 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 tweet. And you put your hand in the air for the dead ball. Explain the call, good, clear, precise signals, and point the direction. You put your hand back in the air to start the game back up again. Some of you have worked with individuals that have radios, and some have worked with them that did not, let's say it was a large RC factor, resistance to change. But after they used them, they found how quickly fouls and penalties were relayed, and how much it sped up the game, and the communication between officials was improved drastically and freely. Starting the clock, make sure we have our hand high up in the air. A solid whistle blast for a 2 count, and then wind it. No half winds, give it a full wind. Okay? Common sense. Ball dead on the field, player or head coach, you call timeout. Timeouts are usually 2 minutes in length. But at 1 minute and 40 seconds, your timer goes off, and you blow your whistle, let them know there's 20 seconds left to get the players on the field to resume play. Otherwise, you could have a delay. So make sure you do a little bit of preventive officiating to get that done. Okay. Team timeouts, they get 2 per half. Okay. That's that card we were talking about, how they measure the cross. The pocket of the cross, the width of the pocket. different referees will do it different ways, but usually they try to get one per quarter from each team. If it's a long pole, they try to get a long pole from both teams, or a shorty to make sure it's shorties from both teams. You do the equipment check, cleats, gloves, mouthpiece, helmet, shoulder pads, and make sure they're all properly equipped. The penalty for a stick, this changed a couple of years ago. Everything is 2 minutes now, non-releasable. Unless I screwed that up. I don't think so. We have a timeout situation. We have an official timeout. You point to yourself because we have a dog on the field. I've never seen that, but I've heard about it. Moving on, face-offs. Okay. Injuries. Stop play, call the trainer, report an unconscious, or if it's a major injury. If there is doubt whether that guy's rung his bell or not, it is a doctor that has to make that decision whether he is concussed or not an athletic trainer. I do know that athletic trainers have been ruling on the side of safety. There was a film I evaluated, or I was asked to look at last year, where a guy got let's call it a defenseless hit. And it basically cleaned his clock pretty good. And it was, the officials gave him a 1 minute locked in. But it turns out the player, when he left the game, went to the bench, took his helmet off, went to the sideline and threw up in the trash can and spent the night in the hospital with the concussion. So hits like that need to be a little bit more than 1 minute, and maybe 3 minutes with a possible ejection. We need to rule on the side of safety for all you Southeastern officials. I have no problem and you locking people in for 2 or 3 minutes and sending them to the sideline. If they want to, if the coach disagrees with it, then he can go through his AD and talk to me, but I will not override an ejection. And I don't talk to coaches. High school game length. I'll let you study this for a minute, then I'm going to have some comments on it. Okay. So when they talk about that no hustle and hustle in the game, let me tell you something else that makes the game longer that I had discussions about, because people felt they were calling too many penalties. If you get a kid that's constantly slashing, and you take a look at how long it takes to call a penalty and put him in the box for 1 minute. So he's going to have 4 slashes that game. So whatever that time takes, just multiply it times 4. I'm telling my guys, if you get a guy that keeps slashing, you give him 1 minute the first time. The second time he does it, give him 2 minutes. And then the third time he does it, give him another 2 minutes. So instead of calling a whole bunch of penalties on people, they all understand that you're up in the time and it'll get them out of the game. They'll foul them out instead of you ejecting them out. The unnecessary hits, it doesn't take much to push somebody out of bounds, and they don't need to clean their clocks, and that doesn't need to be a 1 minute. I'm going to leave that alone. Mercy rule, the best thing that ever happened. Second half only, 12 goal difference, running clock. It continues till the end of the game. Girls game, it reverts back, but in the boys game, once it hits 12, it stays running. It has to be in the second half. And there's some games you wish it was in the first. Overtime. If we have a situation where we have an overtime period, call the captain from each team. Visitor calls the coin toss. The first goal wins, sudden death. Okay, the only thing they get the choice on the coin toss though is the which way they're going to shoot. The possession arrow stays the same. Okay, they'll get one additional timeout per overtime per team. Okay, JV, there is no overtime. Unless that's changed, unless their conference changes it. But right now, the last time I checked, there was no overtimes down here. Not that we have JV teams. Here's the other thing that we developed down here in Southeastern. We put it at the table and it's worked well. This is what we call a penalty report. The date that has the home team and the visitors. They usually always have a statistician at the table. Sometimes they have a book and sometimes they don't. But if they don't have a book, this has become very handy. As you can see, the home team, you had the player number, then you have the penalty and the time. You had a slash and he had the time where he went in, and this way the statistician, because the question they always ask is, what time does he come out? So if he went in at 7:40, depending on how they want to write it, they can write it that he went in at 7:40, he's coming out at 6:40. Or if they can put the time that he's coming out, it's however they feel comfortable, or they work out with the referees or the statisticians. And then they would have, if he gets 4 minutes of penalty time, 5 minutes of penalty time, excuse me, then we just put down that person that he is basically fouled out. The story behind this one and why it was developed is because there was a game where a player was ejected for a flagrant hit, unnecessary flagrant hit. All three officials I'm watching it on the film, all three officials threw the flag, they all come together, and within 10 seconds, all of them agreed that that player should have been ejected. The player was ejected. I was getting a text from the AD that the coach was complaining that he disagreed with the ejection. So I'm looking at the game film, I pulled it up, and I agreed. All three of them threw the flag. Within 10 seconds, they're coming over, and that guy's putting in for 3 minutes, and they ejected him. The officials took this table form, and they were bringing them to me. So I took that table form the next home game, and I went down there to talk to the head coach. And I explained to him, on this penalty time, you had 16 minutes of penalty time. That means you had played 1 or 2 man down for an entire quarter plus in this game. And he lost the game 15-16. So now we no longer take the forms because the coach wants to keep it. So for Fayetteville, Southeastern, we take a picture, the referees will take a picture of it and they text it to me. So, and if there's a problem in the game and the AD contacts me, I have some documentation of how many penalties were called on this player or whatever. And I have a chance to talk to the officials, and I look at the video and I tell the AD, sorry, it's good ejection, have a nice day. Here's a boys lacrosse table, personal duties for the table people. It's on my arbiter page, and we can send it out for those of you who request it. Face-offs, pregame face-off meeting. Not everybody does this. Not everybody agrees with it, but it's always a good idea to have this. So you know who your face-off people are, and those players know what you're looking for. So you set your expectations. You talk about how you're going to vary your whistle, and you list the face-off people to help you. Okay. There's some people that don't like checking the cross during the equipment check in between quarters or whatever of the face-off people. So this is a good time for you to look at their sticks and say, hey, get some tape on this, or remove that tape off the head, or whatever you notice. The opening face-off sets the tone of the game. So you want to make sure it's legal and everybody is doing it properly according with the new rule change they had last year. I think the longest part is getting people set up after a goal. Start your timer, get the people set up, hustle up, and get that game started back. So if you have a high scoring game, that's going to add a lot of time to your game. So the quicker you get them face-offs started, the easier it is to get that game over with. Okay. Face-off. This here is a little video, John. I didn't see this one. Well, I'm not sure what John was looking at, but if somebody could speak to this, is that player on the right side in the white and the maroon, is his glove hand supposed to be touching the line?
No, can you hear me, JJ?
I can't hear anybody.
John was trying to speak. This is Greg, but the player on the left knee is on the ground as well, which is illegal in the green. Did you hear me, JJ?
Okay, that's a question. We'll take it later.
Hey, can you hear me?
Everybody's saying no on that. There's a couple. I don't know if you can hear JJ.
Okay, next slide. I don't know if I'm having problems with my speaker system or the way this is set up. Okay, after going before the next step, face off, this is where I find games take a long time, because if you have a high scoring game, then people get tired, and then the time between the goal and the whistle for the face off to start tends to get longer and longer. So just be cognizant of that fact and get that game started back up again. Okay, restarts after your fouls. Be efficient between the fouls and the restarts. Make clear, concise signals. Make sure they're loud and clear, because coaches are going to want to know what they did if you don't give a good signal. And then that guy standing next to the coach, he's got to tell the coach what the player did. And if he doesn't know about based on your signal across the field, then it doesn't set a good tone. This is a situation where the radios come in real good handy, because now there's communication between the other two officials, and especially that official next to the coach, and he can answer his question immediately. Also, relaying of penalties via the radio is a lot quicker and understanding that way as well. Something that I had to learn the hard way is after you call a foul, a penalty serving foul, there's a certain amount of time for the players to get subbed in and out. So make sure you allow that time so you're not having too short of players or too many players on the field. I got caught on that once myself. So allow for the field to be set. Somebody needs to be counting players and make sure that there's the correct number of players on the field before you restart after a penalty serving foul. Out of bounds. They're going to come in, pause, go. 5 yards on the field when in front of the table area. That's because we don't want any subs coming in and cleaning the clocks. You got to give goalie 5 seconds to get into their crease. Offensive players must be more than 5 yards from the ball carrier, but they have to let the ball carrier get at least 5 yards away from them before they can make contact with them. Okay.
Hey,
They
JJ,
can be
can you hear
penalized
me?
if they don't create a 5 yard separation, when they take off running.
Hey, can y'all hear me now?
Timeouts along the end line, if that's where the ball was. Okay, they start inside the box.
John, we can hear you,
Inbound
but JJ
restarts.
can't.
Oh, yeah.
All right, hold on. Let me call JJ then.
John, if you're going to take over this thing, let me know.
John Owens.
I'm taking over this thing.
Okay, I can't hear nothing.
All right, I got you.
All right.
All right, guys, just making sure you can hear me. Thank you, JJ, for starting it. Sorry, my softball meeting ran long. Hey, before we continue on where we're at, if you will, we can go back to that face-off video. That face-off video was old. And what they were the reason I left it in there is to look and say, hey, what do we need to be looking at as officials when we first start this? And so basically what we're looking at is what some of the things y'all were saying. Hey, we got to make sure their knees are not on the ground. We got to make sure that they have a proper grip on the face-off stick. That's the reason most of the games we have are 3-man mechanics. We are going to be looking to make sure that the helper, you can help out with those things. Make sure that the knuckles are on the ground. Make sure that they're not touching the line. That's the big thing. And the other thing in that zone that we really want to talk about, and this is a big thing that Rick Wooten really up in Triangle, when I first started, that was his big push, is to make sure, hey, we talked about hustle. Let's go ahead and do that. I mean, I even got to the point, I think it was Bob Graham who once told me, hey, as soon as that goal scorer, put your timer on. And your goal is to get that thing started before the next, before your timer goes off. The only other thing I'm going to review, and then I'll continue on where JJ is. That is, look, make sure on those timing sheets in pregame, we all have responsibilities. All right. That pregame sheet, I run copies of it front and back, and I also have copies of it where it's just the timers table. Cause some games down here, your people who run the clock are up in the press box. Your people who run the timing and scoring, all that are down on the field. Hey, whoever your field judge is on that game, or whoever your referee designates, go up to the press box, go through the scenarios with them, let them know this is the mercy rule. This is how much you put on the clock for quarters. This is when you stop the clock. This is when you start the clock. That's going to help you have a better game. If, as JJ's mentioned before, if you work with me, I'm going to have a radio. You're going to give them a radio and tell them, hey, if they have a problem, they can call you on the radio. It makes life easier where we're not shouting up there to say, hey, can you change the clock to so-and-so? And we're not trying to do that. If that briefing is the most important briefing, and it's something that I didn't see in Raleigh that we do down here, that is extremely helpful. The other thing I will talk to you about is your pregame. When we do our pregame, we do the 5-yard huddle. Hey, this is what 5-yard looks like. Hey, referee, do that part of it. You talk this. Hey, guys, we expect good sportsmanship. We expect all this. Field judge and umpires, when that speech is going on, go through the line. This is another thing we started doing in Fayetteville last year, and it solved a lot of our problems before the game even start. Check the players. One umpire takes one, field judge take the other. All right, go down the line. Look, make sure there's a butt in on the stick. Make sure they got a mouthpiece. Make sure there's only one streak across the cheek, and make sure there's no jewelry. Hey, that's a one common courtesy we can do within 45 seconds. That's going to solve us from having to do a flag that we don't need to take. So that's really important, guys, to get that done. And so Now we're gonna go and look at this. All right, inbound restart. Quick restarts are allowed from inbounds only. Play on fouls should restart quickly. All right. Especially, hey, you have 30 seconds or loose ball plays. Most teams want to play fast. All right. So let's go ahead and let's don't be their problem that stops them. Okay. You got to clear it out, give them 5 yards. But if a player, hey, look, if the players want to go, don't blow the whistle and pull them back because the offense wasn't back. Now, if they lose the ball, hey, that's where you considerize it. But pretty much if they want to play fast, let them. Let's don't stop. Unless we have to. Basically, don't force yourself in there. All right, I'm gonna try to see if I can take this screen away from JJ since he can't hear me. All right, can y'all see my screen? Someone give me a note or thumbs up, or someone text me. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
thank you. All right, so we're gonna go ahead with mine. And since y'all can see it, I'm gonna try to make it full screen where we can get that done. All right. Quick restarts, like I just said. I told you get them away, make the call, go. Hey, this is one of the things that Tom Farrell used to teach me. Hey, look, especially on plays where hey, it's a delay game. If you don't know the signal, just do a legal procedure and get the ball started. It's a loose ball. If you can't remember the signal, and we all had those moments where our brain just go, I forgot it. Just do a quick signal, do a legal procedure, and point the direction it's going, and you're going to be good to go. All right. So keep it going. All right. This is going to give you an example of what a restart should look like from the sideline. Far side. All right. It said the solid mechanics problem. The big thing that we're going to have is you got to remind some of these guys, hey, this ain't college. Running starts are not acceptable. They've got to stop. So make sure we're consistent with that. Hey, come in, sit, stop, tweak. Hey, don't make them freeze. Look, if they pause, go. Start it and let's run the clock. All right. Timeouts and restarts. Hey, this is really important as a team. This is again where radios come important. Hey, trail. That's is one of your things. Trail. I expect looking trail and the C or the other side, the opposite side field judge. Look across. All right. Y'all are the two that have the easiest. I don't want the lead looking for it. They may hear it, but those are the trail and the C are the ones who really should be seeing these timeouts. Look for it, listen for it. Trails, if it's a close game, hey, you should be coming up the field on transition. You should be you're stopping at the cone to make sure that the subs are legal. All right. That's where you keep that eye on a coach. All right. That's when they're more than likely going to call the timeout anyway. All right. So just know where it is. Timeouts are normally requested in the last 2 minutes of a half during a close game. Possession savior. All right. There's a big they're fixing to get their lights lit up because they're on the sideline, and the 6'2" linebacker from Terry Sanford is fixing to take out the 5-foot attackman. Hey, they're going to call timeout. They see that linebacker licking his lips. All right. They'll call timeout to try to save it. Remember, they got to have possession. If we start talking about stalling, a lot of the times if they're up and we're going to have a stalling issue, hey, we try to remind them, hey, coach, we're going to have stalling next time. A lot of times the coaches will go ahead and call timeout to explain to their team. All right. Know on a timeout where you need to restart. The best way to do this that I've found is put the ball down where it's supposed to start. We have most time in timeouts. Hey, we're going to be checking. If you don't know where the spot is, and like I said, if you can't remember, hey, put the ball where it was supposed to go. If that's the easiest way to do it. All right. If you work with me and some of the other people I'm used to, hey, a lot of us will put an extra ball in our back pocket where we can use for stick checks. So make sure at the end of the timeout, you tell the coach how many timeouts remaining. Remember, timeouts do not carry over. All right. So they don't roll. So you get 2 per half, and then you get 1 in overtime. So if you go to overtime and they didn't call a timeout in the second half, they don't have 3 timeouts. They have 1. They do not roll. All right. Unless you raise your hand or ask a question, I'm going to keep rolling. All right. Officials timeout. All right. This is when some things you may get together. A crease call. Hey, that lead and that C get together and say, hey, I had someone on the line. Okay. 2 penalty flags thrown. Again, these are times where those radios make a huge difference. All right. One of the things that we talk about down in Southeastern a lot is, hey, if you have a foul in which they're going to be locked in for 2 or 3 minutes and there's a possible ejection, especially if you're a first or beginning official, let's get together. But referees, this is our big important part. Referees, do not go in there with the mindset of, I'm going to change the official's mind. Referees and older officials, your job in that situation is to make sure that it is an ejectable offense. All right. Ask those key questions. What did he do? Why are you doing this? What did you see? Things like that that will make sure that we don't misapply a rule. All right. Referees, our job is to guide those officials. All right. So ask them that question. Make sure that the rule states that that's an ejectable offense before we eject. Okay. If you're a new official, hey, if you think, man, that was a big hit, I don't know how much penalty time to give that. You're thinking 2-3 minutes locked in. Hey, just go to a wiser official. Tell them what you saw. Okay. You never should have 3 officials get together. If you do, it should be a major issue, and normally it will result by stacking. If we have to stack the box, that's when we're getting the 3 officials together. If that happens, send the players to the bench, and then all 3 officials get together. All right. We don't want any shenanigans happening, because normally if all 3 are having to get together, then it's a big incident, and we don't want any other problems to happen. Send them to the bench if it happens. If a conference is happening with 2, one of you should always be watching the players and the benches. All right. Any questions? Stalling. All right. The first sign for stalling is you're going to grab your belt. All right. The referees will initiate it and start grabbing on their belt. All right. You're going to see the fist your hand go up with a fist, and you're going to have the other hand with a fist beside it. All right. And then we're all going to start. That's our sign that we're initiating it. All right. Then once we all have got our hands up like that, we're going to start yelling, get it in, keep it in, get it in, keep it in. All right. That's important that we all know that we're putting it on, and that we all know that it's in. And then we all have to make sure the players and coaches know. All right. So,
Hey, John.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, as far as the stall, make sure you all communicate earlier and be like, hey, John, what do you think? Hey, John, what do you think? A lot of times the smarter coaches and players, they'll pick up on that, and then they'll start to go to the goal. I know years in past when we said, hey, next time it gets behind, let's lock it in. Well, then next time they would work it around the outside. They wouldn't get it in. So saying, hey, let's get it in, keeping it is a good call to do.
And guys, the stalling thing, that's a second half thing. Don't be even thinking about it in the first half. It's really the fourth quarter thing. And Tom, correct me. I think it's 4 minutes and in.
What do you mean 4 minutes?
Is there a time, or am I thinking the girls?
No, that's girl. So you can put a stall anytime, but also keep in mind why is that ball not going to the offensive zone? Like, is it because they don't have the stick skills and they can't put it in, or is it because they're just keeping it out and just playing, cat and mouse?
4 goals or
Also
less.
look at the defense. if the defense is not pressuring out and not, making the initiative to take the ball away, we really don't have anything. The defense has also got to go out and at least try to pressure them. If they're not pressuring them and the offense is just standing out there, we really don't have much of anything.
Hey, thank you for that, Tom, because my brain just went out. 4 goals or less. That's JJ's great point. 4 goals or less. That's where the number 4 I got in my head.
Yeah, 4 goals or less, but that's like the last 2 minutes of the game.
Yep. All right. All right. Face off. All right. It's important. You always start the game with your referee, your most experienced person, or the referee for the day. And if you work in Southeastern, the referee is not always the most experienced person. It could be, hey, JJ's training a referee, and the most experienced person is the umpire, and so you're there to make sure they do it. We got that first face off is the most important thing we're going to do. All right. Define your expectations for the face off at the beginning. Communicate with the players. Hey, don't trick them. Okay. And this is what I'm going to tell everybody. Look, you get down in that position and you sit there for 2 or 3 minutes and see if your knees don't get tired or your knees don't hit the ground. All right. Don't keep them there all day. If you have to keep them there all day and you can't get the set right quickly, stand them up. Because what we're doing there is we're being courteous. Because if you keep them down there, they're going to commit an illegal procedure. And so do it quickly, but don't be fast about it. Make sure it's right, but do it quickly. And if you can't do it fast enough, stand them up, tell them the problem, and go down. If you continuously have the problem and you have the same face-off man every time, it's okay to go ahead and look at them and say, look, I'm not going to correct you again. I've told you this 4 times. You need to go down this way. And if they do it again, do an illegal procedure, false start them, and let's get it going. But the first couple of the game, let's make sure they're right and they understand what's going on. Whatever you do in that first face-off will carry. All right?
John, also, real quick. Guys, make sure when you're doing that face-off, all right, when we're all out there, especially that first one and we're waiting for the field set, the common error that I've seen a lot of officials, especially newer one, is they wait to talk to the guys when their partner tells them the field set. Guys, when you're out there and they're both out there, go ahead and start talking to them. Wait, and then that way when your partner says, hey, the field set, you can tell them down.
All right, guys. Now this is what the pregame face-off meeting. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. At the beginning of the season, advanced referees, you can ask the coaches if they want to have a pregame face-off meeting with the face-off guys. Coaches are not required to have it or to send players. And we cannot require them to do it. We can suggest it, but we cannot require it. All right. So if they want to do it, in the beginning of the season, hey, let's offer it, especially the first couple of weeks of the season. Down here, especially, let's offer it down in Fayetteville because we're starting the season weird this year because of Pinecrest getting a new field. We're starting the season with conference games. And so let's make sure we offer it and if they don't take it, they don't take it. But let's offer it and let's try to get some of this face-off done. During the face-off meeting, if you have it, make sure you invite the coach as well. They can come and listen and part of it. Know what you have. Get your most veteran person. Hey, if you're the referee on that game and you're inexperienced and they want to have a face-off meeting and you don't feel comfortable with it, hey, ask an experienced person. If you're a first year or beginning official, let me know. I have cards that have a face-off meeting agenda that I gave to every official last year. So if you want those, it'll help you with that. All right. Discussions. Hey, be ready for the down. Hey, look, I'm going to tell you, I crack jokes all the time. with the players. Don't be going down before I do. That's just a bad look. Wait for me. All right, stick head, top to stop. The sticks got to go straight down. All right. Make sure the top of the head and the bottom of the head of the stick of the cross are equal for both teams. Okay. Their heads have to be out of the neutral zone, especially if you get a rookie face-off guy, they want to put their head over their crosses. All right. That's not allowed. They've got to be out. All right. They got to be parallel to the line, but not touching the line. The gloves have to be down on the white line. Okay. Hand touching the ground. They have to be down on the ground.
Behind the line.
Behind the line. Nothing can touch the line. All right. The stick heads have got to be straight up. All right. No body part can be on the ground other than the knuckles of their hands. Okay. That's the big important thing. Helpers, look at the knees, look at the parallel, look at the verticality. Okay. That's what our focus is on. All right, Chris, I'll take care of you. I'm trying to make sure that anything else. Motorcycle grip, most players are starting to get out of it. But just make sure the couple will try to sneak it in there. Guys, the big thing on face-off, and this was a point of emphasis last year, on the face-off, they must go for the ball first. They cannot go for the body first. All right? Make sure that that's important. Make sure they go for the ball first. The stick, I didn't put it on this. US Lacrosse didn't have it on there, and I didn't put it on there. The stick has to be a contrasting color from the cross and their gloves, and you must be able to see some of it before it is legal for position for them. So you have the cross here, the stick is here. Their hand has to be detached from the cross. They cannot be touching the cross. All right. When we do our on-field clinic, you're going to see more about that. All right. In youth games, in double headers, things like that, there's not a chance to have a pregame meeting. Tom is great about this, and he's one of the ones that taught me, hey, if we have a youth meeting, hey, most time we're on a clock, or hey, or if we got a JV varsity game after JV, hey, have that face-off meeting right before you start the game, while your teammate, your fellow officials are counting the players, making sure the clock's ready. Go ahead and just talk to them right then. That way you at least can get that information out to them. Okay. All right. So you put the ball on the ground. All right. And that's a change from last year or the COVID year. I can't remember which one it changed, but ball goes on the ground first. You instruct the players down. All right. You make sure everything is good to go. Once your umpire has given you the good to go signal, all right, you start backing out and say set. Once you say set, they cannot move. All right. So once you say set, you back out. All right. Then look at how the official is here. You want to be near the line where you can see what's going on in there. All right. You blow your whistle. The scramble is on. All right. Once one team has established possession, doesn't mean they covered it. They have it in their stick and take a step. Blow the whistle for possession. Okay. That releases everybody. Any questions?
Make sure when you call set, like nothing of them can move. So if they're digging their toe in the ground more, that's a violation. If they're doing it before you call set, it's fine. But as soon as you call set, any movement, moving the leg, trying to dig that foot in more, anything's a violation.
And one thing, and I'm going to show you the next thing of the legal face-off. You see this guy right here? That's illegal with the knee down on the ground. But what I am going to tell you, hey, if you're going to have to spend a bunch of time checking their sticks, instead of standing them up, let them take a knee. and then just say, hey guys, let's get up. And then they'll work with you. Again, I'm just not a big fan of let's sit them down there for a long time. All right. We talked about there can't be any tape on the head of the stick. All right. And we'll have to fix it early in the year because some of them, what they will do is they will tape up to the plastic of the cross. All right. They'll start taping over that plastic so that, oh, it's contrasting color. Yeah. But it's illegal because you got your hand on that cross and it's taped on the cross. All right. Just go ahead and take care of it. And again, that's when you have your face-off meeting. I always look at their sticks and say, hey, is it a legal stick? Because if they come out there and you discover it's an illegal stick, your timer's on. If they can't get a sub in quick enough for it, hey, it's a delay of game and they're losing possession. So go ahead and look at their sticks in that meeting too. All right. So now we're going to start looking at some of the problems. The hand is on the shaft, not the plastic. That's the most important part. Hand is on the shaft. Can't be touching the plastic. Fingers are wrapped around the shaft and touching the ground. Sticks are up to but not touching the line. Sticks parallel to the line and vertical. One other thing I'm going to tell you before we get off of this is, hey, and all the ones in Fayetteville, y'all are fixing to really laugh at me because y'all know I'm real guilty about this. Hey, most of us are playing on a football field. All right. Do not wear out the 50-yard line dead center. You gotta use the whole line in between the circles. All right. Hey, if you work with me and I got to go to a side, that ball is probably going on what side I'm going to. All right. Set that early, but don't you put it in the 50-yard line to start it right in the dead center, but don't use that the whole game because it's going to become a dirt pit. Let's try to keep some grass. That helps the play of lacrosse and it helps the AD stay somewhat happy and the football coaches don't have a heart attack. All right, wing players can only check the face-off player's stick until the face-off, or that was not worded right. Wing players can't check the face-off player's stick until the face-off is ended. All right, basically when they're head-to-head, they can't check their stick. All right, they can't come in there swinging away. All right, if they check the face-off players battling for the ball, unnecessary roughness, flag thrown, penalties at least 2 minutes. Why? Anybody can tell me why that would be a 2-minute unnecessary locked in. What are they defined as right then if they're looking down? Not Tom, you can't answer.
Well, there needs to be a clarification on the check. Are they stick checking or are they body checking?
If they come in with a stick, if they stick check or they body check from when they are in the face-off position down at the ground, they are considered a
Defenseless player.
defenseless player. That is correct. They are a defenseless player because they cannot see what's happening and that person has clear knowledge.
What I was saying on that, like if the guys are locked up and say one of the guys come in from the wing and he tries to stick his stick into the group, or he's trying to check the butt end of the kid, you're not getting unnecessary for that. Just whistle, blow it, and go this way.
Yeah, that's a loose ball push and let's go.
Well, no, it's just a procedure because they're still locked up. And the reason is, like they were saying, unnecessary. Anytime that those guys are locked down, their heads are facing towards the ground. Heads are exposed. And that's the same thing with the face-off guys too. They can't lead with the head directly into the other player because they're leading basically with the crown of the helmet.
Any questions? All right. And this happened a couple years ago, had a coach getting a big argument with me. And I said, this is the rule. I've never seen it done the way you're saying it's been done. and I will look it up. And then I went to the book, found the rule, took a picture of it, and sent it to the coach. Now this was at the youth game, and I work with that coach all the time, so don't suggest doing that. But this was a play. All right, players in the penalty area during a face-off. If you got someone in the box, this is where the penalty area is down. Okay. You got to be down here and here. You take them from the wings. Now, sometimes if you start stacking or you get a lot in the box, you'll get that. Let's say white. Let's take them away. They got 3 in the box. Take that one away. Take that one away. This one cannot cross that line. So any smart face-off guy would just try to get that ball and throw it back this way. Because this player couldn't cross the line if you have 3 in the box. All right. If you have the penalty, it's got on a face-off, it's got to come here. All right. If the penalty time expires while the face-off is still in action, they cannot come in. Hey, if you are not the helper or doing the face-off, if you're out on the side, hey, that's the thing you are saying. You know the penalty time. That's my first question when I come up. Hey, how much is left on that penalty? If they go like 10 seconds, hey, I'm shouting out. You cannot come out until possession is established. All right. They cannot come out of the box until penalty is established. Possession is established. Even if their penalty time is expired, they've got to sit there until possession has been established. Any questions?
John, I got a question for you.
Okay.
If you have white is down like your previous screen, what happens when white gets the ball and scores?
Nothing.
Does anyone coming out of the box?
No.
What happens if the table releases?
Then we put them back.
Good.
We're going to be nice. We're not going to punish them twice because the table will probably tell them to release, especially down here in Fayetteville. They'll be like, you're released. No, just go back. You're not released. That was your own team scored. All right. I'm not going to worry about that right now because we're running out of time. It's all these smiley faces. All right. Look, we don't start over faces much, but this is when we do. All right. Ball goes out of bounds in the midfield and officials don't know who's the last one to touch it. An inadvertent whistle before the ball crosses the restraining line. An injury occurs in the midfield. Simultaneous fouls of equal duration occur while the ball is loose. If you have that, let me know. I've never seen that. Official calls timeout before a team gains possession or a ball gets stuck in a uniform or equipment other than a cross, okay? That I have seen before. The ball gets stuck in a uniform. All right. Look, face off after goals. Here's what it looks like if done correctly. Notice referee comes in, blows the whistle, signals the goal. Single side official enters the goals area to make sure that there are no issues. The trail official is already backed out, keeping his eye on the field and monitoring subbing area, and he's going to make sure the field is set. All right, notice how quickly the official hustled up there. All right, 18 seconds.
John, is this a 2-man crew or a 3-man crew here?
This is a 3-man. So
Right.
the difference is, hey, this official over here, I wish I could pause it. It's not going to let me pause.
Well, I'd give an air of caution too here. Depends on the teams. You can't go back one slide and come back.
How far you need me to go back?
You're good right there. The one thing I'd be air of caution is the trail guy basically just turns and runs. make sure that field is set. One, you're looking out for your partners, but you're also looking to make sure there's no trash talking. No one comes in the backside and just plows through a kid. So watch the late hits, because your trail job, your first job is to watch the shooter.
And make sure the players, like you see, they're separated here. That's a good sign for a trail you can leave. All right. Now, this is the difference too. Remember, in a 3-man, we want the trail guy to come up here and help. You're the helper. The helper will tell you, hey, the field is ready. All right, you see them going down. He sets them, blows it. Oh, we had a false start, and he did it. All right. Any questions? Again, we will do this more on the on-field clinic. All right, last section for tonight. The goal crease. All right, officials' responsibilities settle in. Situations, the goalie play around the crease, and team changes goals at the end of each quarter. All right. The crease is 9 feet radius. All right. This is where the goalie is the primary agent. All right. All right. Areas of responsibility. The lead. For the most part, the lead is responsible for the goal line. The only time that they're not responsible for that goal line is if you have a ball that is pressing the out of bounds, then the C will come down and look at that goal line until the lead can work their way back up. There's the lead's primary responsibility. The lead also has this line. We officiate lines. That's what I heard in football. I like it. We officiate. Lead has this line. That line and that little line right there, his most two important lines. All right. Single side, or the C, is you, for those of us who call basketball. They got the shooter. But hey, look, just because they shot the ball doesn't mean that and they're still in the air with the follow through doesn't mean someone can come light them up. So shooter's looking in there. In the front, also has this area in here too. Trail. You will check substitutions. You're going to stop back here at the back, make sure the substitution is clear. Then as you're coming forward, you make sure you have 6 and 6. Once you have that, hey, as they run by you, hey, white player ran by me, white player ran back by me. All right, that's how you can check it. Just know that what they're doing. You got over and back. Remember, we officiate lines. Trail, you got the midline and you got this sideline. You are also helping with the shooter. All right, goal crease privileges. All right, only a properly equipped goalkeeper has the privilege and protections within the goal crease. All right, as long as he maintains continuous contact using at least 1 foot with the interior of the goal crease. All right. We do not allow for what they call in the girls' game a deputy to come in if the offense has the ball. There is not a deputy. If they do it, kill it right then. First one's 30-second conduct. Second one is unsporting. All right, 1 minute. All right, so they're not equipped to take a hit. And so please, if you see it happen and it's pressing on the offensive side and the goalie's not in there and it's a regular field player, kill it. They're not, you got to protect the player. A goalkeeper may stop the ball in any manner with his cross or body within the crease area. He may block or bat the ball away with his hand, but he may not catch the ball with his hand. No opposing player may make contact with the goalkeeper or the portion of the cross that is within the goal crease area, regardless of whether the goalkeeper has the ball in possession. So I can't take my stick and reach in there. I'm going to use a illustration they use in the girls' game. That is a cylinder, the cylinder or the circle, the sphere that goes up, goes all the way to infinity in the sky. They cannot break that plane.
John,
All right.
the attackmen, they can reach in and get it.
Continue your story.
So if the ball is loose, say a shot's made and the ball's loose and the goalie's looking for it, the attackman can scoop it and shoot. He just can't be in the crease, glove, feet, or anything else. And he can't
Yes,
make
the stick
contact
can
with the
be in.
goalie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't clarify that. The stick can be in, but the body cannot.
Correct.
All right. Any questions on that? All right, we just talked about who cannot go in there. All right, crease violations. Hey, crease is the most could be the most controversial and important call we make. All right, as far as affecting the game. Be confident in what you're doing. If you know that their body is inside the crease, you yell it out, crease, and point to the crease. All right. Don't hesitate, because if you hesitate to make that, one, normally they're going to get out. And everybody like, he's not in the crease. He's not in the crease. All right. Two is, hey, it makes it sound like you're not sure that they were in the crease. Tweet, blow. All right. Oh, let me see if I can get that video larger. See how he came in really quickly, strong whistle, waved the goal off, pointed to the crease. All right. Goalie interference. Possession interference is rare. Not in Vevel. It is common. All right. The more skilled teams, they don't do it until the goalie comes out of the circle most of the time. But in Vevel, they will do it all game. All right. Most goalie interference calls occur during loose ball situations. Know the rules about the goalie stick being in or out of the crease when the ball is loose. All right. Goalie interference. The offense cannot touch the goalkeeper's body. Yes, Bryce. The offensive cannot touch the goalkeeper's body or cross while the goalkeeper and his cross is inside the crease. A goalie's cross may be checked if outside of the cylinder and the ball is loose. A covered ball by the goalie stick outside the crease is not considered possession. All right. Final two slides. Scoring. Know the rules. A goal is scored when loose ball passes from the front entirely over the goal line. A goal will be allowed if the shot was released before the end of the period. Hey, this is one of your pre-games. When you go up there, if you are the field judge and you talk to the timer, does your clock have a buzzer? And the answer you hope is yes. If it didn't, then you're going to have to blow the whistle. If they have a buzzer, do not blow the whistle to end that quarter. All right. If the ball's in flight. All right. The ball can still score if it is left their stick before the shot. If there's any question about it, that is one of those times you let it play. The three of you get together say what you got and figure out, was it off before? And then decide if it's a goal or no goal. All right. Don't blow the whistle, because then a lot of goalies will just stop. And if that ball goes in, then we got problems. All right. Now remember, if the ball's deflected off a defensive player, it's still live.
What happens if it hits off an offensive player?
Dead. So there's a lot of factors that go into that last second shot. So make sure you get together and get it clear. A goal is not scored when the horn is sounded to end the period before a shot has been released. The horn has sounded after the shot has been taken, but the ball is touched by an offensive player after the horn has sounded. All right, that's when it's not scored. All right, a goal is not scored when the horn is sounded to end the period before a shot has been released. The horn has sounded. I just said that. It didn't move it on. Diving is not the same at all levels. Under NFHS rules, a player may not, under any circumstance, land in the crease after a diving shot and have the goal count. If the player is contacted illegally, a goal cannot count and the penalty shall be assessed. If a player is contacted legally, it shall be a turnover. So if they dive in, it's a turnover unless they are illegally contacted, at which point you will call the penalty, but there is no goal on it.
It doesn't have to be a dive. At the high school level, what you'll see a lot is a kid jumping up and trying to jump over the part of the crease. If he leaves his feet, he loses his goal. If he jumps straight up and straight down, that's a different story. But if he leaves his feet towards that goal and lands in the crease, doesn't matter if it's a dive or a jump or he's trying to jump over the crease, it's still a turnover going the other way.
All right, guys, any questions? If you didn't do it earlier, I just put in the chat again, the sign-in sheet. Please make sure you do that, no matter if you're from Fayetteville, Triangle, or wherever you're from. That way we can get you credit for attending tonight's clinic. And I will talk to JJ and see if either we will send out a copy of the presentation, or maybe we can put a link on his Arbiter where you can click on the presentation for yourself. Any questions? All right, if you're doing the girls clinic, then this is your time to sign off and go to the girls clinic, and it's another link, so it's not the same one as this one. So if you're going to the girls, sign off and go to the girls clinic. If you're just doing boys, thank you for coming. We will be back out here again same time next week.
Hey, John, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I think I got things working. I'm gonna have to reboot the computer, but I'm gonna leave it alone until after we're done.
All right. Well, if anybody got a question, because we need to stop this Zoom so we can get to the next Zoom.
Mine right now, that link is not coming up as valid.
It's probably because JJ ain't over there yet.
Let me try. I'm signing off.
All right, but once you sign off.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is there any way we can have John Owen shorten his talking to shorten these clinics?
Yes, we can have him chop off one of his toes.
Hey, look, look, this is supposed to be 6 clinics and I put it into 5.
I'm just messing, John. Have a good night.
Night shookums.
Signing off.
All right,
Bye.
bye.